Alright, so class, as you can see, this is what's called the Fibonacci sequence. And then the class will actually go to their guided notes, which we have here. The student will fill in their name, and it says Objective 1, below jot down the observations of what you watched during the Fibonacci video. Students will then be writing down possible observations of pine cone, maybe a pineapple, certain ear cochlea. After a certain point, the teacher will then ask the students to make any observations. So this could be a chance for students to say the spiral gets bigger, maybe. Or that the spiral grows proportionately. And so on and so forth. The next part will be asking the students for Objective C, which is using your observations listed above, discover a connection across all observations and jot down the main pattern you see. The main pattern which we want the students to actually see is that the number of squares is increasing in a sequence. And so they'll jot that down. And we'll move on to the next page that says Observation D. Find another example where the Fibonacci sequence is true. Ideally, we would have the teacher go over some of these examples, and you could even write in some of these. Some more examples can be found on this link here. The teacher will then be able to guide the students through not just those examples, but also tell them about the definitions. So the first definition would be term. The definition of term is sequences are made up in a series of repetitive terms. The students will then, right here in the download box, write down these definitions using their own language. You would also give the sequence definition, which is in the lesson plan. A pattern, the definition of recursive formula, and the definition of explicit formula. Again, having the students write down the definition in their own words. Moving right along. The students are then going to work collaboratively on looking at the Fibonacci sequence in what is actually the reproduction of bunnies, and from month to month. The students will be asked to come up with the numbers for how many bunnies are in month 4, month 5, 6, and 7. Once they find those out, they're going to organize the amount of bunnies here, starting with the number of pairs and then the months. And then after that, you start to build the sequence. Now your sequence is going to be starting from, obviously, from the first pair, moving on to month 7. And you'll notice that it's actually the Fibonacci sequence once more here. Students are then going to be asked to, once they get to here, once they finish up this Fibonacci sequence of the bunnies, students are going to be asked to share their answers with the class. Moving on to Objective G, it says find the missing term in the given sequence and identify what operation you had to do to find it. So it gives you a space to find the missing term, and it also has the students actually identify how they got it. Was it through a arithmetic or geometric method, and how they got that. That goes on to up to 4 of them. At this point, the teacher would walk around, see how those students are doing, make sure the students partner up with one another so that they can do a think, pair, share, or in other words, talk to their partner and then share aloud how they're doing. For objective H, it'll say fill in the chart below and based off the information from objective G. So then using objective G, they're going to use these patterns and plug the sequences back in here. So they're rewriting the sequences from objective G in here. And they're actually going to create a formula by breaking down what's being multiplied, divided, or added or subtracted. Again, this would be collaborative work. Moving on to the next part, objective I has us look back at objective D and choose either the first, second, or third example. Write out again whether it's multiplied, divided, added, or subtracted, and then write in the formula. The teacher will run this part, and in addition will also run the matching the sequences from the corresponding patterns to the actual sequences. So the teacher will run both of these sections, and once you're done, you'll give the students the exit slip, and the exit slip will be the document which will be titled performance task for that day.